Hey there, folks. Welcome to week one of this month. This month we're going to be working on the tune Ocean Eyes by, I don't know if you've heard of her. Her name's Billie Eilish, one of the biggest names in pop music today. So yeah, this song is a whole lot of fun to play. It's actually absolutely beautiful. I've been listening to a ton of her music lately, and I think that yeah, she's a very, very talented singer, and her brother and her are very talented songwriters. And yeah, I just really, really love this tune. So yeah, let's get into it. This month, the big challenge is going to be learning to sing and play. Obviously, with in the standard format, that's really what we're shooting for, is to be able to sing, play at the same time. Chords, we really don't need to know that many. I want to say there are four. One, C, D, E minor, and G. Yeah, there's only four chords to learn in this tune. And what's really nice is that the progression actually just repeats itself for every section. So that means that the intro is going to be the same as the verse, is going to be the same as the chorus. Minor differences in how you phrase those, but in actuality, the actual harmony is the same. So we're going to be splitting a measure between G, C, and D, and then we're going to play E minor for two measures. That's going to be the majority of the tune. We're going to repeat that 3 times, and then we're going to end. So let's go ahead and get into some chord shapes that we need to know. First chord shape is a C. 0, 0, 0, and 3. Is obviously not going to be too challenging for anybody. One thing that you can experiment around with a little bit this month is using your pinky to play the C chord. That's going to set you up to play our version of D that we need. Cool. So here's the C chord, 0, 0, 0, and 3. Our next chord shape we need to know is a D chord, which is 2, 2, 2, and 0. Now, for a little quick kind of revision, or different way to play this chord, we're actually going to play it like this, with the G string open here, and then we're going to play the second fret with our pointer finger on the C string, middle finger second fret on the E string, and then the top string and the bottom string open, right? So this is an alteration of a D chord, but it actually really sets us up for our next chord, which is E minor, 0, 4, 3, and 2. So let's go ahead and learn those chords in a sequence, because that's what we're going to be needing to play. So here's our C. I'm playing with my pinky. Remember, you can do it with your ring finger or or your pinky, and then you're going to drop into this version of D, which is 0, 2, 2, and 0. And then my middle finger is actually going to slide up by a half step to the third fret. So I've got 0, 2, 2, and 0 here, and then I slide my middle finger up. Really pay attention to how my thumb here is over the first fret, or around near where the nut is, and then when I finish that shift, you see how my thumb kind of shifted up. That actually means that I'm taking my hand and moving it from this first position where my pointer finger is lined up with the first fret, and I'm shifting it so that my pointer finger lines up with the second fret. Really be deliberate about that shift in position for your left hand, because if you don't, then what happens is you're ending up kind of stretching and finding it awkward to move into that chord shape. Cool? One more time. Here's my C chord, 0, 0, 0, and 3. And then I'm just going to drop my pointer and middle finger here. 0, 2, 2, and 0. And then I'm going to slide my middle finger to the third fret. And then I'm going to put my ring finger down on the fourth, pointer down on the first, and you can kind of see how this chord is like a stair step. See how my ring finger is 4, I go down a string and over a fret, and then I go down a string and over a fret. 0, 4, 3, and 2. Cool. So when I shift back into the C chord, I'm just going to do the reverse of that movement. I'm going to kind of shove my thumb downward, and now my ring finger's lined up right over the A string third fret, right? Cool. Let's go whole notes moving between those. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, here we go. C with the ring finger, 2, ready, pointer middle to play this D, 2, ready, and then we shift our middle finger, ring finger goes down here, pointer finger goes down here. Cool? Whenever we're thinking about chord progressions, remember what we're trying to build is a connected flow through those chord shapes. So don't think of all of these chords as separate or individual. What we want to do is think about all of these chords as one long connected sequence. So when I'm playing one chord shape, I want to think about how it's going to transform into that next chord in the sequence, and then from there move into the last chord of the sequence. So really, really think about your connections. I like to think about how are those chords related? How do they move in the most efficient way? That's really what we're looking for. All right, let's give it a shot. Whole notes moving between each chord. 1, 2, ready, C. 1, 2, ready. Middle finger down, pointer finger down on the inside string, 2nd fret. Now I slide my middle finger up, add the ring, and put my pointer finger down. 2, and ready. Shift back down. Ring finger goes to the A string. 2, ready, and pointer middle. 2, and ready. Slide that middle finger up. 2, and ready. Here we go. Shift down. Ring finger C. 2, 3, 4, and here pointer middle for that alteration of D, and then we shift up with our middle finger. 2, and ready. Here we go. And C. 2, ready. Pointer middle. 2, and ready. Shift up and find 2, and ready. Here we go. And C. 2, ready. Shift here. 2, and ready. Shift here. Beautiful. 3, 4. Last time. Here we go. C. 2, middle and pointer, inside string, 2nd fret. Now shift that middle finger to the 3rd fret on the E string before making this shape here. Now, one of the things that you can do to really help you kind of build this stable foundation with your left hand is to just omit. I mean, we are going to learn a little bit of how to play this in the rhythm, but working it in those whole notes, minusing the right hand and really just focusing on what the left hand is doing, gives your brain the ability to be able to really focus in on those minor little, those small changes that we're doing with our left hand to create those harmonies, right? And the last step is always really trying to connect that with what your ear is hearing, right? All right, let's get into how to count this out. Now, this is an odd bit of a tune. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to hold for a dotted quarter. So the count sounds like this: 1 and 1 and. Now, when I'm counting 1 and 1 and 4, right? Really try and think about where that 4th beat is hitting, and that you're kind of coming in on the off beat for that 2nd hit, right? So it sounds like this: C, D, E minor. And you hear how I'm coming in on the 4th beat of that measure, but I've actually got to hold through the whole next measure. So that's really what's tricky about this tune is that we're not exactly hitting on beat. So I'll go ahead and play it a few times. 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you notice there that I'm actually changing the chord before the measure ends, right? I go here, 1, 2, and then on the and, in between beats 2 and 3, I'm switching to the 2nd chord, and then on the 4th beat of that measure, I'm switching to the E minor, and then holding that for 5 counts, right? 1 and 4. 2, 3, 4. 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 4. So I'm saying and because that is, remember, on the off beat in between beats 2 and 3. Cool? Let's see if we can try it a few times. 1, 2, ready. And actually, what we'll do is we'll actually just try and play those sounds. Here I'm using the thumb. We'll try and play those sounds hitting in the right places just so we can kind of get a feel for it, and we won't worry about changing the chords for now. We'll just play the open strings here. Cool? All right, let's see if we can try and hit at those times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, and 4. Keep doing that with your right hand, and I'm going to change the chords. Here we go. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, Ready, last time. 1, 2, and 4. Now remember, adding the left hand shapes is going to make it a lot harder for you to focus on what that right hand is doing and your timing. So really make sure that you're practicing it, can really nail where those right hand hits are before adding the left hand shapes. Cool? Let's go ahead and try it all together now. Let's see if we can play that C chord again, 0, 0, 0, and 3. Then we're going to play our D chord, which is 0, 2, 2, and 0. And then we're going to shift our middle finger up here, and then we're going to add our E minor chord. Cool? So go nice and slow. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready again. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready, let's speed it up. 1, 2, and 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready, last time. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready, finish here. Awesome. Okay, so that first chord progression is repeated 3 times. Now remember, we're playing the same thing for our intro, chorus, and verse. So really that's what you need to memorize, is how this one progression connects and moves through. Okay, so when we finish, what we're going to play is a G chord and then move to a C chord. Cool, so it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the thing about this change here is 1, 2, 3, 4. We're actually not changing the chord here. Before we were playing 2 chords, and now we're playing 1 chord on the downbeat, which means I hold that for a dotted half or 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So it's 2 chords being held across 2 rotations of the count, but we're sort of shifting a little bit early, anticipating, right? Instead of changing on the end of 2 and then switching to the chord, we're sort of omitting that second chord and moving from the first to the third immediately. Cool? So it sounds like this. G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, actually, let's go over that chord shape. 0, 2, 3, and 2. Right? So here is our G chord. And remember, where we're going from is E minor. So it's really important to understand that when you're in this chord shape, 0, 3, and 2, 0, 4, 3, and 2, when you shift that little movement down, see, I take that chord shape, and if I just shift so my pointer finger's on 1, now I'm in the right position. Notice here that my ring finger's on 3. It drops down to the E string, and then I can kind of assemble this chord. 0, 2, 3, and 2. Cool? So from here, really simple transition from a G chord into a C. I'm going to take that ring finger and just drop it down to the A string, keep all the other strings open. Cool? So now what we can do is create a little 3-measure sequence, right? We can create the entry point, which is our E minor, moving to a G, and then from there moving into the C chord, right? Because when we go through this tune, what we're going to play is I've been watching you for some time, right? C, can't stop thinking, E minor to G, diamond eyes, and then G into C. So that's our little 3-measure exercise to kind of work on the most challenging part of this sequence, which is moving from E minor to G and then to C. Cool? Let's try whole notes. Actually, no, let's just try whole notes moving from E minor to G. Now you notice here, all I really do is kind of drop my ring finger to the 3rd fret there and shift. Did you see how my hand shifted? That's what's really key. You can also really exaggerate this movement by taking the E minor shape and actually physically shifting it down. Once it's here in this position, ring finger can just drop to that E string, and then from there I can reassemble my other 2 fingers into the G chord, 0, 2, 3, and 2. Cool? Let's try E minor to the G chord. 1, 2, whole notes, here we go. E minor, 2, and ready, ring finger goes down to the E string, and then I jump there. This time I'll try it with shifting that chord shape down, dropping the ring finger, and then going into the G chord. 2 more times. Here we go. 2, and ready, shift down, drop the ring finger, other two fingers go. E minor, 2, and ready, here we go. Beautiful. Last time. E minor. Good. And then drop that ring finger down. And there is our G chord. Cool. Let's give it one more chord to finish our 3-measure exercise. We'll drop our ring finger to the A string 3rd fret and get our C chord. Cool. So here's our whole notes. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and ready, shift, and then ring finger to the E string. 2, and ready, C. Good. And let's go back to our E minor chord. 2, 3, 4, 0, 4, 3, 2. Beautiful. Kitty corner for the ring finger to the E string. There's our G chord, and then to our C chord. Beautiful. Last time. Here we go. E minor, 2, and ready, shift to G. 2, and ready, shift to C. Beautiful. Last time. Here we go. And E minor, 2, and ready, shift to G. Nice. And then to C. Beautiful. All right, let's talk through how to kind of connect all these. Remember, our first rotation, what we worked on a little bit ago, happens once, repeat for some time. Repeat one more time. Can't stop thinking about those. Then we go to G. And remember, here what we're doing is holding for 3 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then we shift to our C. Cool? That is the first rotation. And then what we're going to do from there is actually repeat exactly the same thing. And we're just going to add one extra thing to the end. So let's try that. 2 rotations of that chord progression. Nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3. Repeat. 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2. Ready again. 3rd time. 3 counts on G. Follow those. 1, 2, 3. Eyes. Good. And then we repeat. Burning cities, so napalm skies. 15 flares inside the diamond. Nicely done. All right, let's try that rotation one more time. 1, 2, ready, go. I've been watching you. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't stop thinking about those. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready again. Burning cities, oh, napalm skies. 15 flares inside the ocean. Beautiful. And now what we're going to do, ocean eyes. That's how we're going to finish the tune. Now, these are a little bit of chord shapes, but I kind of wanted you to see that the sequence is really repeating the verse twice and then adding an extra 2 measures, or 1 measure if you kind of think about that whole 8 count as the sequence, right? So let's go over those left-hand shapes, what we're going to add to sort of finish this out, all right? Nice and slow. Here's our G chord. From this position, what we're going to try to do is reach with our pinky here. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky reach, but one of the things that you can do is release the middle finger off of the A string and shift it to the E string like this. If you're finding a really hard time, if you're having a really hard time stretching out that pinky, what you can do is just shift what finger is holding the E string, right? So I've got 0, 2, 3, and 5. Cool, so here I'm in my G. And then if I shift my middle finger to where my ring is, and then it's a little easier to add that pinky. Of course, if you can keep these 3 fingers down, and it's not a big deal to put that pinky down, it's actually fairly easy to get into this motion. Cool? So our first chord is a G. Our second chord is a G, adding the 5th fret on the A string. And now all I do is just take that pinky, I slide it to 7, and then I keep the other strings open, and this is a version of C, 0, 0, 0, and 7. Cool? That just kind of adds that little melodic flair moving up in the neck. So it sounds like 2, 5, 7. Now in terms of count, it's going to be the same thing. 1 and 4, 2, 3, 4, and then you hold for that little extended period of time. Nice and slow. Let's give it a try. Here we go. Rolling through 2. And now pinky 5th fret, or you can shift that middle finger if you're having a really hard time making that stretch. Slide the 5 up to 7 on the A string for our last little hold. Cool? Let's give it one more try. Here we go. Roll through a G. Add the pinky to 5, and then slide the pinky to 7. Cool? One more time. 0, 2, 3, and 2. Now this time I'm going to switch my middle finger to the E string to make it a little easier to reach that 5th fret. And then I'm going to slide up to the 7th fret. One more time. 2, 5, 7 on the A string. G chord, 0, 2, 3, 2. Add the pinky, and then move the pinky to the 7th fret. Cool? Nice and slow. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, ready, pinky on 5. 2, and ready, switch to 7. Cool. Now here what I'm doing is kind of taking away the rhythmic context to make it easier for me to just focus on the left hand shapes. Just playing whole notes, counting 4 each time. 2, and ready, switch. 0, 2, 3, 2. Add the pinky. Good. And then slide to the 7th fret. Beautiful. Last time. Here we go. Ready. 2, and ready, switch. Good. And then remember, where these counts hit, just like before, I'll just do it with the right hand. 2, 3, 4. It sounds like 1, 1, 2, and 4. 2, ready again. 1, 2, and 4. Yeah? So that means that I'm going to go 2 on the A string. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready again. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready, last time. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, ready, here we go. 1, 2, and 4. All right, so a little bit tricky for that ending. Now, remember, if you're having trouble with moving up to that 5th fret, then going up to the 7th fret, I want you to know that the chord progression is really, it's still just G and C, like we did for our first ending, right? When we went on our first rotation, we played our chord progression, bum, 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 repeat 3 times, bum, 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 bum. First time we end, we just played G and C, bum, 2, 3, 4. So we're still changing to the C on the same place, but we're kind of omitting a chord in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready. Now when we do our second rotation, right? Bum, bum, bam, bum, bum. Remember, we're ending with G, 1, 2, 3, switch to C, and now here is where we add it. It's basically an extra, an added, right? And that's going to connect us into the chorus. Now what we're going to play is that 2, 5, and then 7 on the A string, right? 2 and 5 in the G chord, and then we open the strings to play the C chord to finish. Cool? So it's basically like 4 cycles, repeat 4 cycles plus this addition. Now, remember, when you make this addition, you don't have to play bum, bee, bam. You can still play 1, 2, 3. Yeah? So remember, if you want to end that way, just to get you moving through the tune, you can always omit this little alteration to the G chord, shifting up to this really high voiced C chord. You can always omit that part and just play the G for 3 beats, moving to the C on beat 4, like you did to finish. Cool? So I'm going to go through a rotation of that. Burning city, so napalm skies, 15 flares inside diamond eyes. And now when I sing ocean eyes and my voice goes higher, I can just play that G for 3 beats, moving to the C. Ocean eyes, I'm scared. And then we get into the chorus where we're going to alter the rhythm a little bit. Cool. So that's it. And remember, this really is all the information you know to play the whole song. If you look on the handout, it does say intro, but for the beginner arrangement, we're actually not changing anything. We're going to play the intro just how we do the verse. Only difference is we're not singing, right? Gives us kind of a rotation to hear how that harmony is connecting. When we go into the chorus, we're actually going to change rhythm next week. We're going to add a little bit to the end to give it a little bit more movement, but really you can use what you're using in the verse for the chorus and just change what your vocal melody is doing, right? So if you change your singing and just play the same thing in the verse, it'll function, it'll work. Remember, the chords don't change throughout the entire song. The order doesn't change throughout the entire song. So really with just this, you've got all you need to play the intro, the verse, and if you keep it the same moving into the chorus. Cool? So we'll go over that new rhythm next week, but for now, let's see if we can try one rotation of this tune, just moving through and singing, and we'll use the chorus. We'll just use the same thing that we're doing in the verse. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump down to this camera. We'll go nice and slow. We'll play our intro. 1, 2, nice and slow. D, E minor. 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2. 2, 3. Third rotation. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, 3. And now we go G. 1, 2, 3. Switch. 1, 2. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Second rotation. 1, 2, ready, switch. And now we go G to C. And now we go 2 on the G to 5, and then up to the C. So now what we'll do is we'll jump into the verse. This is where we're singing. I've been watching you for some time, can't stop thinking about those ocean eyes. There you go. And burning cities and napalm skies, 15 flares inside those ocean eyes. Let's try that second ending, or you can just go G to C. Those ocean eyes, no fair. You really know how to make me cry when you G to C. Ocean eyes, I'm scared. Second ending down, you can do it. Those ocean eyes. And that is it. Okay, cool. So work on those things. Remember, try to keep your right and your left hand independent. You can just work on the rhythm. 1, 2, and 4. Just really getting it locked in. That goes for next week when we start to add a little bit to this rhythm in the chorus. And you can work those left-hand shapes independent. Remember, if you're not thinking about rhythm, if you're not trying to concentrate on rhythm, I think the best way to do that is to just practice whole notes. Really try and focus on how each chord connects to the next. Remember, try and think about the chord progression as a sequence, and then what you want to do is tie that to what you're hearing, right? Think about trying to make that fit with what the expectation for your brain and your ear is. You want to hear this chord move to this chord and end on this chord. And then if you can connect all of those sounds with the movements that your hands need to make, that's going to be the shortest way to muscle memory. All right, folks, thanks again for joining me for week 1. We'll see each other next week. Remember, let me know if you have any questions. You can drop them into the Slack feed. Otherwise, we'll see you next week when we'll start to get a little more into the chorus, how to change up the rhythm in the chorus for this tune. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.